All right, we're up to lesson 10 of unit 5. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about combination functions, transformation of functions, and combining functions. To do that, we're going to sketch graphs of a combined function. So that would mean adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing two functions. So to do that, we're going to create a table of values for the two functions. We're going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide depending on what the problem is. We're going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide the y values of the two functions. And then we're going to graph the combined function on paper, or we can use Desmos. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go to our examples. Okay, so here are the graphs of two functions, e and l. Define a new function s by adding e and l so that s of x equals e of x plus l of x. On the same axes, sketch what you think the graph of s looks like. So again, we're going to make a table of values. So to do that, I'm just going to pick a couple of negative, I'm going to pick 0, and I'm going to pick a few positive x values. So for e, when x is negative 2, y is approximately equal to 7. So at negative 1, it's approximately equal to, looks like we'll call that maybe 3. Okay. At 0, y is equal to 1. Okay. At 1, we'll call that 0.5. And you can see it kind of goes down from there. So we'll call this 0.25. Okay. And then we'll go even lower from there. We'll call this 0.125. So I just kind of estimated by dividing everything by 2 there. Okay. The key is it's still going down and getting closer and closer to the x-axis. Okay. For L of x, which is this line right here, at negative 2, we're at negative 2. At negative 1, we're at y equals negative 1. At 0, we're at 0. Hopefully you're seeing a pattern here. So at 1, we're at 1. All right, and this will be 2, and this will be 3. Okay, so our combined function is going to be e of x plus l of x. So I'm just going to add all of my y values. So 7 plus negative 2 is equal to 5. 3 plus negative 1 is equal to 2. 1 plus 0 is 1. 0.5 plus 1 is 1.5. 0.25 plus 2 is 2.25. And 0.125 plus 3 is equal to 3.125. So now to graph this, I'm going to graph these points of the new function. So at x equals negative 2, my new function is going to be at y equals 5. So that's right here. Okay. At negative 1, I'm going to be at 2. So that's right here. At 0, I'm going to be at 1. So that's going to be right here. At 1, I'm going to be at 1.5. So x equals 1. 1.5 is going to be like right here. At x equals 2, I'm going to be at 2.25, which is like right here, approximately. Again, I'm just estimating. And at x equals 3, I'm going to be at 3.125. So 3.125 is like right there. Okay, so the sketch, it's going to be some sort of curve that's going to look something like this. Okay, so that is the sketch of what the graph might look like. That's all we're doing, okay? So for this next graph, okay, right here, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to add e plus m. So my e values for e of x are going to stay the same. So this will be 7, 3, 1, 0.5, 0.25, 0.125. Okay. So for m of x, notice m of x is a horizontal line. So no matter what x value I pick, it looks like my y value is going to be -1. So my y values are all going to be -1s. Okay. So we're sketching the sum of e in each of the following functions. So again, I'm going to add my y values again because it said sum. So 7 plus -1 is 6. 3 plus -1 is 2. 1 plus -1 is 0. 0.5 plus -1. So 0.5 plus -1 is going to be -0.5. 0.25 plus -1 is going to be -0.75. And 0.125 plus -1 is going to be -0.875. So now I'm going to do the same thing. So at -2, I'm going to be at 6. So at -2, I'm going to be at 6, which is right here. At -1, I'm going to be at 2. So -1, 2 is right here. At 0, I'm at 0. So that's the origin. Okay. At 1, I'm at -0.5. Okay. At 2, I'm at -0.75, so that's going to be a little bit lower. And at 3, I'm going to be at -0.875. So my graph, once again, is going to be a curve that looks something like this right here. Okay, so that is my sketch for this first one right here. Okay, for the last one, for the last graph, okay, let's do the sketch of that graph right here. Okay, so my e values are going to stay the same. So my e values are going to be, okay, 7 and 3 and 1 and 0.5 and 0.25 and 0.125. So these stayed the same. Now for n of x, okay, that's this straight line right here. So at -2, I'm at +2. At -1, I'm at +1. At 0, I'm at 0. At 1, I'm at -1. Hopefully you're seeing the pattern. 2, -2. And then 3, -3. Okay. So E plus N, all right, so to sketch that, okay, I have to add my Y values again. So 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. 3 plus 1, that's going to be 4. 1 and 0, that's going to be 1. Okay. 0.5 and -1 is going to be -0.5. 0.25 and -2 is going to be -1.75. And 0.125 and -3 is going to be -2.875. And then all I have to do is now graph these. So at -2, I'm going to be at 9, which is going to be like off the graph up here somewhere. Okay. At -1, I'm going to be at 4. So -1, 4 is like right here. Okay. At 0, I'm at 1. Okay. At 1, I'm at -0.5. So -0.5 will be right there. At 2, I'm at negative 1.75, which will be right there approximately. And at 3, I'm at negative 2.875, which will be right there. So that graph is going to look something like that. It's going to be a curve again. Okay. So again, to recap, when we're sketching combo functions, we make a table of values, and then we do either adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, depending on what they tell us to do. In this particular case, it was all sum. It was all addition. But you may be asked to do subtraction, multiplication, or division. So make sure you pay attention to that. And then you sketch your graph, just like I did here. So that is it for lesson 10.